Welcome back to NHK Newsline. I'm Kaneko Sato. Japan's Prime Minister Kishida Fumio has held separate talks with leaders from China and South Korea in Seoul. Sunday's meetings came a day before the first trilateral summit of the Asian neighbors in more than 4 years. Kishida first met with South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol. They agreed to further improve the two countries' ties before marking 60 years of diplomatic relations in 2025.
I hope to work with Prime Minister Kishida to prepare for next year so that it will become a historic turning point to further advance bilateral relations.
The international community is at a historic turning point. Japan was to further strengthen ties with South Korea to maintain and strengthen a free and open Indo-Pacific and effectively deal with global issues.
The leaders also discussed North Korea. The country has been stepping up its nuclear and missile development. Kishida later said they'd agreed to work closely together with the United States to address this issue. Kishida also had a one-on-one meeting with Chinese Premier Li Qiang.
I'm convinced that stabilizing Japan-China relations will be beneficial for the two countries, as well as the region and the international community.
I hope we can control the differences in opinions and make efforts to build constructive, stable relations to meet the demands of the new era.
The pair reaffirmed that they will promote their mutually beneficial relationship based on common strategic interests. That's what Kishida agreed with President Xi Jinping last November. The Prime Minister also urged China to immediately end its suspension of Japanese seafood imports. Kishida said he'd called on China to peacefully resolve issues with Taiwan through dialogue. China launched a major military exercise around Taiwan on Thursday, just days after Taiwanese President Lai Ching-te took office. The three leaders appear likely to confirm further cultural, economic and tourism cooperation at Monday's summit. They're expected to release a joint statement summarizing their talks. The group of 7 finance chiefs and central bank governors have expressed concerns about China's overproduction of electric cars and other products. The G7 officials released a joint communique after they wrapped up 2 days of talks in northern Italy's Stresa on Saturday. The statement says they're concerned about China's use of non-market policies and practices that undermine their workers, industries, and economic resilience. The statement further says the officials will consider taking steps to ensure a level playing field in line with World Trade Organization principles. The participants also discussed the idea of using profits from frozen Russian assets to support Ukraine. The assets were frozen when Moscow was sanctioned in response to its invasion of the country. The statement indicates the officials intend to present options to their leaders ahead of the G7 summit next month. Japan's finance minister Suzuki Shinichi spoke to reporters about the matter.
Russia's actions are unacceptable because they violate international law. Japan's basic stance is that the use of frozen Russian assets must also be approached in a manner consistent with international law.
The G7 officials remain split on how to handle the Russian assets. It remains to be seen to what extent they'll be able to narrow the gap